wife, Rev.Nhyira Adu-Gyamfi. We are pleased to be here to share our thoughts about our relationship.
Our experience.
Our experience, right? The past 14 years. But I think we've known ourselves since 1999.
Yes.
As friends, church fellows, but not bedfellows. And we've been in church and done so many things in church together until I decided to appropriate, tome boa nega, and then so that is, I mean, fundamentally what we can say to start off, right?
The first question is, how did you meet?
How we met? Rev.Nhyira, ladies first. Let's see.
Oh, but you can also say your views.
You don't worry. You tell them. If you can't say it, I will tell them.
I think we met in KLM. We met in KLM, Kingdom Life Ministries.
Because there's a flight called KLM.
Our father, our papa in the Lord, Bishop Emmanuel Owusu and Sam, came from United Kingdom and started this movement. The movement that has been an experience that has been with us and is taking us places. And that movement was really impactful, and I thank God for his life. So I think I met him through a fellowship.
Oh, we met.
I met him.
I met my husband.
No, I'm talking of Bishop. I'm starting from Bishop.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were talking about me.
No, I wouldn't. I mean,
it's about us. You have said something about Bishop. It's okay. Bishop will love you.
So I met Bishop, and I mean, the movement Kingdom Life, as I was talking about, started.
We met there.
So we met there. That's how we met.
Okay,
so I think we were. Please let me conclude.
Because the way you are telling the story, it doesn't really look like it's flowing, right? Yes. So we love our Bishop Emmanuel Owusu and Sam. We love him so much. But this meeting is not about him. Just as so, Papa, wherever you are, we greet you. So we met KLM, and in KLM, we're all members of the youth. Eventually, I became the youth leader. She became the song minister for the youth. And I'll organize youth meetings, and then we'll have conferences and all that. All those times, we were very good friends. So we'll meet, and then we'll have conversations. Those days, I'll come to KNUST, and then we'll get fresh yogurt, and then we'll do one-on-one conversation. And all those times, she was very active and very committed and a strong lady. I think at that stage we were still friends. Until one day I called her from the library, the university library, and hello, can we meet and talk tonight? I remember it was the days when there was doomsorization of Ghana under President Kufuor. And so when we met at KLM at Crow from traffic light, it was 6 o'clock. Their friend would say exactement. The light had gone off. So I took her to one corner.
Inside
the church. And I told her, I will marry you. You are the bone.
You told me, or you asked to marry me?
Okay, I asked. I'd already prayed and bound her and put her in my pants. But just
so that was what you
did. Just to say we were very good friends. I need to say that we were very good friends. We were very good friends. In fact, we had built strong friendship for years. That was just a joke anyway. So I proposed, and then because we had been friends, and so when I said we should meet, she knew something was going to happen. You know, the accounts will say, "Ensure better." Inframedica. So our friendship was the inframa, it was the wind. So we had long period of friendship. We had gotten to know each other from a friendship point of view.
So with our friendship, I
And-
think
and
we,
so that's where we met. We
used
met
to meet
at church.
Yes, and at the church.
So we were church people. too.
Yes, and we were prayers.
We are still church people.
Praying warriors at night. So I was you know I would always want to be at the pulpit area just before the altar, and he would be at the reception, at the church's reception. So I would be praying here, and he would be praying.
We're
there.
not praying about ourselves.
Ourselves
like
or anything. We
having
both
any
were praying about
relationship or
different
anything.
issues.
We all had our issues to deal with.
Yes.
We're seeking the face of God until
Yes.
one day the bell rang. The bell rang in my heart that actually I like this girl. I really like her. We've been good friends. So we met in church. That is
I
that is
think you used to be sitting by me.
yes,
anytime-
yes, yes.
anytime,
Sunday too.
Yes.
Sunday too.
I think
Yes. You really like sitting by me in church.
It's not just by you. You see,
Our friend Tim Cran, my friend Tim Cran, and I mean
I love
You
the
love
I love the
hanging around the
energy.
two of us.
I love the energy
Yes.
you both were given.
yes, we're giving you right energy.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
in church, anytime I sat by them,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed service. So I
Yes.
love sitting by them.
We
at
carry the
church.
right energies. We're Christian brethren.
Yes.
Yes.
But anytime the bishop will say, hug one another, kiss one another,
We
you
will
see
leave the
them,
church.
they'll be going outside the
We're
church.
too spiritual. We didn't love hugging girls in church.
Yes.
That was the whole story.
Okay.
But now I hug my wife a lot. Can you hug me?
Okay, let me hug you.
At two.
So, at what point did you know you were ready for marriage?
At what point? It's a difficult question because I think I grew up early. At the age of 13, I was preaching. I was a street evangelist. I mean, I had co-preacher preaching everywhere. I became very responsible with, I don't know whether to use the word disciples following me. I mean, integrity. I was very committed, young man, and became very responsible early. After secondary school, I started teaching. And so I started supporting payment for light bill and all the other stuff at home. So very committed. I felt I wanted to marry early because of one, my own Christian values and philosophy and thinking and orientation. So I believed in early marriage. Why? I think even though my father was not a pastor, not necessarily a Christian, my father was many things, right? But I came from a big family, and I some way, somehow, no matter the family feud at home, in the compound house and all the other things, I believed in family. And so my orientation from Sunday school, scripture union, and my own big family at home, I felt that I wanted to settle early as a young man. So my target was, say by the age of 25, I should have been settled. So consciously, I started praying about my marriage very early. By age 15, I was praying about my marriage. And so I was very conscious person, very conscious about relationship. I started reading a lot of books. For example, in Prempeh College, the only college in Ghana, I read, what was the name? Seduction Exposed. I read a lot of books about relationship, soul ties and all that. So I was very conscious about relationship. And that is what Christianity should do for a young man like myself at that time. So I was very much interested and intrigued about relationship, about marriage, and about building a family and building a home. And so very early on, I was very much passionate about having my own wife and then building a home with her. I cannot exactly tell the age, but very early on, I was very much interested in settling. Even those days when I was going for deeper life camps as a teenager, I was very conscious about relationship and about settling. I cannot tell the exact age, but I think by the time I turned 20, I was conscious about marriage and I was interested in settling at the least opportunity because I felt I was matured very early and I felt very responsible very early. Yes.
And I think with me, I started praying about my marriage at a very early stage. I think I can't remember the year, but I left home quite early because I wanted to be in a different let's say, let me call it a movement for now.
You were a rebel, right?
And I felt at that time, I felt there was a fire that was burning in me, that the environment I was in didn't really,
support a very powerful church.
Support that kind of zeal I had and wanted to move on with. So I left home quite early, and the fellowship I was in, Faith Anointing, I think was very powerful, very, very powerful. So what I did was, I went to the church. So I left home. When I was attending the church, I had left. It was a fellowship. But
was it the fellowship that you started desiring marriage? I think that's the question.
Yes, I think at the fellowship, that's where I'm coming to. So we started praying some prayer points. They're praying for our marriage at the age of 14. And friends around, people around felt so uncomfortable praying about that kind of thing.
So if you praying about
what job you do and all that. But so others could not even take it seriously. But I think I took it serious and started praying, because growing up, I knew that I would marry a man who was into ministry. Even though I married my husband when he was not ordained as a pastor.
Me, a man who will be in ministry myself. I was in ministry. Maybe you forgot.
Oh, baby, let me finish.
I was in ministry. Yeah. So
I didn't interrupt you.
Please continue.
So what I'm saying is that I started praying about my marriage early.
Yeah.
So I set that age that I would marry at the age of 22. So
I said 25.
I was praying about it, believing God. And because I left home, the sister, many girl who is that strong enough to leave home at that teen age, you should know by 22, she's seen all that she had to see and was fully prepared for marriage, if indeed she was. So I was ready for marriage at that age of 22, because I was mature, because I was living with people and was taking care of people at that tender age of 14. So I knew that by 22 I should be matured enough to marry. Yes. Okay. But I didn't marry at 22 anyway.
So whilst praying, was there a time you got a vivid confirmation about your husband, who to marry exactly?
I knew that I was going to marry a man who was in ministry, but not him exactly as I saw him in picture. But I knew that the kind of how do I even what to expect, to know what to see, to know that this is my husband. Yes.
I didn't want to have any dreams, visions. Earthquake,
I never had any dream as
earthquake,
well,
tender, lightning. I didn't want that.
Or holding flowers.
I wanted to be responsible for my decision making. First of all, I grew up in church. Practicing Christian. I wanted to marry a Christian, and that Christian woman should be somebody I could be compatible with, flow with.
And for me, not to cut you, for me, I think that it is purpose that should lead a person into the type of man or woman you would want to marry. I had purpose, who I knew myself. Knowing who you are is the best gift one can ever have. Because if you know yourself, you know what is a priority and what is not. So I knew who I was at that very age, and I knew who I should marry. Yes. So I said that this is how my husband should be. And the moment I saw him, I knew that this was my husband.
As a Christian man, young man, I knew that I was not supposed to go and hunt for a girl at a club or any other location. But your environment, you are likely to meet somebody in your environment. So that if you were a student and you joined a student group or whatever, you are likely to meet somebody there. If you were a banker and you were attending bankers' meetings, and also, so you are likely to meet potential suitors